It's Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
Oh, thanks. Go on. Keep going. Hey, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you joining us here again for a lively time of conversation and cocktails. It's better than drinking alone. That's what I'm saying. Whenever you're at home, this is as good an excuse as any for pouring up a stiff one and enjoying some time together with some of your magicians, some friends of mine. Oftentimes that we are introducing people on my podcast each week of someone that you may not have known. Similarly here on this virtual happy hour that I like to invite some friends that you may not know, but after this is over that you get to know them on a lot more intimate basis then as well, and they become your friends then too. We got a lot of people and a lot of things that we're going to be talking about here tonight, and I encourage you also to make sure that you would post your comments down in below. If I can, let's see if I can get this down over here. Make sure, that you post your comments, and whenever that you do, be sure that, you have your name with it. Let's see if I can say that. Yeah, I'll get the right one. So anyhow, we have some people who want to get right on here straight away so we can get the show started. And I thank you guys very much. There, as I said, some important things we need to talk about here this evening that are topical as today's news. And so we'll get right to it. But to begin with, I want to introduce someone who is a friend of mine who lives out in the Los Angeles area. And he is someone that I've known for a long number of years. He was someone who actually had assisted whenever that Banachek and I had put out the Psychological Subtleties series. He was the person who had helped edit the first book of Psychological Subtleties and also was a contributor to some of the other books then as well. Someone who is a good friend of mine, and whenever that I go out to LA, I always like to spend a little bit of time with him because he is not just a forward thinker. He is like a forward thinker, thinking about things that are not even happening yet. So please welcome my good buddy, Allen Gittelson. Hey there, Allen.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Cheers to you. Thank you. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Cheers to you.
What are you drinking there tonight, by the way?
I am drinking, I am not a drinker, but because this is...
you got to get awful thirsty if you don't drink anything.
Well, I drink a lot of
water. You mean
alcohol. That's my favorite beverage. But alcohol, I thought I actually got this for the show, this Templeton Rye. It's a 4-year Templeton Rye. So.
Well, speaking of rye, that the NPH, or the Neil Patrick Harris drink that they serve at the Magic Castle, is one of my favorite drinks. And as a matter of fact, that my friend Trixie Bond has got the recipe, and she is marinating that right now and has a small cask, an oak cask that's going into to kind of age that. So I'm looking forward to having that over Labor Day weekend for the TAOM, which we're going to get to here shortly. But also the next person I want to bring in over here then right now is someone who comes all the way from across the pond. They are about 6 hours ahead of where we are, or I am then right now. So his time is about a little after 1 o'clock in the morning over there. So thank you for staying up late with us and enjoying this. Hopefully he's still awake. Please welcome my buddy, Martin Cox.
Hello, mate. All right.
Fun.
Snoozing just a little bit there, are you? So good to see you. I appreciate you staying up late and joining us over here. What have you got to drink? What are you drinking over there then, Martin?
Oh, well, I don't drink alcohol, so I've got non-alcoholic beer. Well,
and you said it's a Red Star beer?
Red Star. It's Heineken Red Star. I don't think you hold it the right way around. I'll see with my camera. Heineken Red Star. It's no alcohol.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you joined us then also then over here then too. And then bringing up in our fourth guest that we have over here then right now, I get to welcome a good friend who is all the way over from Philadelphia area. And someone, if you have not seen his lecture, it's out there right now. It's available on the Society of American Magicians on the V1.1. And he is someone who has won multiple awards, involved with the Society of American Magicians, is a big-time collector. Please welcome, and so many other things that I could go on and on about. He has the most wonderful resonant voice, as you will hear in a moment. Please welcome my buddy, Marc DeSouza. Hey there, Marc.
Why, thank you, Scott. By the way, I love that opening you're using now. That's lovely.
Nice.
I recognize that voice.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yes.
cool. Hey, great! Thank you for inviting me. This is terrific.
You are welcome, sir. So, by the way, what have you got? What are you drinking then right now?
Well, I have got one of the official drinks of the 4F convention, the Italian suite. That would be Fireball.
Fireball, yeah. Which I've got a little bit of Fireball also, but I mean a very small Fireball. And that you and I were just talking about that we both do the same trick with that.
Yep. You produce a Fireball from a Fireball.
That's right. Just a Fireball from a Fireball. So good. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here then as well. And so we've got a few things then to talk about. One of the first things at the top of this podcast that I'd like to mention is that because I am from, hold on, let me just take a drink. Everybody, if you would, just hold it up for just a second. There we go. Perfect. I want to make sure.
Yes.
And cheers to you. That's good. I'm sorry. Mine, of course, is 3 Ollie's vodka, a cherry, which I really like. So a few things I was going to say that because I am in Phoenix, I'm sorry, not Phoenix, but I'm in Houston, Texas. My mind is in Phoenix, I guess.
How many martinis are you on now, Scott?
Well, I got started too early. Good point. So in Houston, that as you are well aware, that we have had a Hurricane Laura that had come through, and we were. It didn't really hit Houston, particularly. We were on the clean side of that as it came through really the Louisiana-Texas border. That it really just came through on the. Closer over to New Orleans, but actually straight up really through the Lake Charles area. So from our standpoint, I mean, it's a sunny day. We haven't had any rain. There's hardly any wind. And so, again, it was on the clean side because the anti-clockwise rotation that they have then of the hurricane, but it really did devastate the Lake Charles area. And in Lake Charles, of course, is the home of Chip Romero. And I thought that many of you might like to know a little bit about how he's doing, certainly, because Chip is someone who is the person who has the collection of the Doug Henning collection, basically, and that he has. When I talked with him earlier this evening, he said that he was just thankful and amazed that that nothing really happened. He lost a few shingles on the top of his house, and that he had a little bit of leakage, but he stayed home. So he was around, so there was no damage to any of the collection. The fence in the back blew down, but he said he was showing me. We did a FaceTime thing earlier this afternoon, just about an hour ago, and he actually had about 7 power lines that went down in the street right in front of him, and he was showing me all of that. But fortunately, none of the trees that had fallen over or power lines that snapped didn't fall on anyone's house or car or anything. There was no real damage other than the roofing tiles being torn off off of his roof. And so anyhow, it's probably he said they had like 130-mile-an-hour winds. So they had quite a bit. So anyhow, he is okay. And he's had like 150 people who have called him, let alone all the texts and everything else he's been receiving. And he just wanted to thank, excuse me. He wanted really to thank everyone for helping him through this time emotionally by sending him the text and phone calls. But obviously their power is out and probably will be for 2 or 3 weeks. He can't leave the street because of the power lines that are down and the telephone poles, et cetera. So anyhow, he was just saying that he is well, and to thank everyone who has been sending him his well wishes. But he can't talk too long on the phone because his battery is about to die because of all the calls he's been receiving and calling back. So I only talked to him for about a half hour, which is about 2 hours shorter than I normally do when Chip calls. But anyhow, I just thought I'd give an update on what's happening over there. If you were wondering and concerned about Chip and his collection and everything and how that's going, then as well.
That's good to hear.
That's great. Yep. Good to know.
Aside from that, kind of as another thing that I was going to ask you then, Alan, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is because that of the advanced technology that you know and you work with. And I just think that that's really kind of interesting. I want to let the listeners know for just a second, this was kind of cool that some years ago that there was a movie, Minority Report, with Tom Cruise, and you were working then for a company that was helped develop some technology. The idea was that, as I understand, Steven Spielberg, who was the director, wanted to have some ideas of some things that might be happening in the not too distant future that would be realistic enough to actually come to pass. In other words, that it was only going to be about 40 years out or so, and that your company had helped develop some of those kind of cool ideas. And you were showing me some of that. Now, you're working for a different company than right now, but I know that you keep up with these connections and how things move and everything. So tell me a little bit, what's going on in your life then right now?
Oh, well, just to sort of complete what you were talking about, I did quite a bit of work for Oblong Industries, the company you're talking about, and John Underkoffler was the CEO and founder of the company. And he was recruited by Steven Spielberg from the MIT Media Lab for a lot of the advanced work that he was doing. And he was the science and technology advisor for Minority Report, which takes place in the year 2054. I think that film itself is now at least 20 years old now. So what he did was he projected forward, given the technology that was available at that time, and the progressions and things that were happening at that time, to sort of figure out what might be realistically feasible, what kind of technologies would be happening and what would be used in that future world. And of course, a lot of that stuff has come to be. And as a result of that film, after that film, what they did was they took the Minority Report interface, that is the stuff, the feed that comes out of the bath of the precogs, these three beings that can see into the future. And there's a big computer system, and multiple people can use it simultaneously, kind of conducting it like an orchestra, not using a mouse and a keyboard and stuff. That's so long ago technology. And that they would sift and sort through all the information that was coming from the precogs and figure out what was going to happen, as they worked in the pre-crime division. And their job was to catch criminals before they committed the crime. That's the future that's presented in Minority Report. And what's interesting is that Steven Spielberg let them treat that interface as if it were a real product. So they put together specifications and how it was used, and they taught Tom Cruise how to use this thing that didn't exist. And then after the movie, they started the company Oblong Industries and made that product into a real thing. Now there's no precogs, but multiple people in a room with a computer. It's spatially aware. Everybody can use the system at the same time and communicate with people who are in disparate geographic locations, just like we are here today. And they would all see the same thing. They can throw up data and images and video on the screen, and they all see it in the same time and can move it around with each other, like they're sharing in the same space.
I remember whenever
of all that.
When I was at your office, that it was kind of cool, and that you had that room with all these different monitors, and I put on these gloves, and you can kind of move things around just like he was doing on television or in the movie, back then. And that to me was kind of like using the screen of an iPad or of the phone, in which that your iPhone or whatever. So this way you can kind of move them around by touching them. But in this case, your hands were off and you can kind of move things around. And I've seen that then before,
It's that, computer interfaces for the most part are still stuck in the past from things at Xerox PARC that later mutated into the stuff you see in your Mac, in your Linux, and your Windows desktops. But most standard computer interfaces haven't changed and adapted at all. But there are other ways to interact with the computer, and the computer to most people really is the interface. So human beings are naturally, as magicians know, to tie this into magic, are spatially aware. We're aware of the space that we're in. We see things, we can point to something, and everybody can tell what they're pointing to. And so the interface is based on that. So within that three-dimensional space, and even the pixels on the wall, the screens, they don't even have to be on the same wall. So you can move things around from between screens and across screens. Pixels can be everywhere, and we can all affect that, and we can move something closer to us by pulling it closer. We can push it further away by pushing it away, by moving into three-dimensional space. Probably so many people are familiar with their computer interface, but it takes a while to get used to that. This three-dimensional space is how you naturally operate in the world, rather than imposing this weird thing where you're moving a mouse on a different plane than the pixels are on the screen.
But beyond that, it seems like there were some other cool things that they were talking about, in which that, for an example, I remember Tom Cruise was walking by and they said, we have a special on jeans right now, and you are, and whatever. So and right now, of course, that with Amazon and everything else, that they seem to know a lot about us and what's going on. So that was another thing in which they kind of projected, and actually we're dangerously close to that era.
There, to put it as a brief thing, is that there are amazing databases that are publicly available. We are streaming from some of them right now that show people's faces and all sorts of personal data about them. And so in the movie, they don't even look at the faces. They look at the eyeballs. Tom Cruise buys somebody's eyeballs and has somebody implant them in his head because it recognizes them, recognizes his eyes, and delivers him customized advertisement based on him, his makeup, and who he is as a person, what he's interested in. In fact, that's later in the film. That's how he finds out whose eyeballs he bought, because it starts calling him by the name of the person whose eyeballs he has. Oh, and you know what? I forgot. I just realized, Scott, that I forgot to shave, so I better do that. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Oh, hold on. Just hold on. Just do that again. I just sorry. I was changing that back. I'm going to go back over here to all of us. That
okay.
What was that? You what?
Oh, yes. I was just saying that I forgot to shave. So there we go. Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. Just to bring a little magic into the program. It's not a performance per se, but neat stuff.
Well, that is something that you're talking about right now that has to do with mentalism and mind reading. And I know that your website is, what is that, mentalismwires.com?
Mentalwires.com. We're all connected with mental wires.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that it seems to me that there is a lot of information that is out there then right now, and that we can take advantage of as a mentalist, as a mind reader, basically. Now, I know that Marc DeSouza, for an example, that you're a member of the Psychics Entertainer Association, the PEA.
Yeah.
Are there any things that they're talking about in using modern technology, or I should say advanced technology, things that we are not aware of then right now?
Well, there is a whole branch of mentalism that utilizes electronics, and Craig Filicetti and his company Pro Mystic is really at the forefront of that technology and putting out products. But guys, I mean, there's guys privately that are working on a variety of different kinds of programs, some that interface with that type of stuff, some that are, proprietary electronics, it's miracle class stuff. It's absolutely amazing stuff. But, there's just as many mentalists who don't want to go near it, because gosh, electronic stuff, it can go wrong. So, if you don't want to take the chance, you don't do it. Or maybe you just need to make certain you've got a plan B in case something goes haywire.
Well, that's true. A lot of things would be something that'd be like Occam's razor. Basically, it's like they must be using some sort of electronics. Just like what they're talking about with Tommy 10 and Emily. It's like that she must have something in her ear. That's why they tried to say beforehand, look in her ear. There's nothing in there. We can't hear anything. Right. So you have to use these disclaimers to say, nope, you don't have this, and nope, you don't have that. So it gets to be much more difficult.
Well, it's intelligent use of that kind of technology, and it can't look like that technology. And look at our iPhone stuff. All these apps that are out. The really the best of them, the ones that don't even look like apps. It's something that you wouldn't even think about, that you couldn't imagine that this, the phone or the technology could do, and that's the best of them.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of that beard trick, that was kind of cool. I'm sure that what was that you were telling me a little bit earlier? You were working on some other things that aside from just that is some new technology that you can you share what you've been working on over there then, Alan?
Well, I can't share specifically what I was working on. I can show you some other things that are somewhat related. I have been working on a project that is, I can't say the name of, or I can't say anything about it, but just take what is available in the world right now and sort of project it forward. And one of the things I'll show you is this is something that's readily available right now. Let's say, when you're doing magic, I hear a lot of magicians talk about it, say that, oh, I love to do magic because it makes people feel like a kid again. And I've been feeling a lot younger myself recently, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, myself, I don't usually like to use a lot of technology in performance. I'm exactly the opposite in performance, because I disdain technology. I want to just do the old school type stuff. That as far as technology wise, I don't rely on something that has batteries or something like that. I just want to connect with my audience now with my electronics, and I leave that side of my brain away when I'm performing. But
when we were talking the other day, also that you showed me something that I thought was amazing. Also, when you're going to be doing a Zoom meeting, that you don't need to get dressed or anything. Is that right?
Oh, yes. So I was, this is not the outfit that I'm wearing right now, but here is. If I don't have any time, I have like just a few seconds before it's showtime. Here's how I come into the show. There. Okay. Oh, one more try. Here we go. It's just like this. All right, and it's showtime. We're ready to go. Hey, I like it. So.
And you can move around like that also, and it kind of moves with you.
Sure, absolutely. Sometimes it gets to my head. I don't know what's going on. You got to be aware of the permissions you have to give for your internet cookies and things like that. So all those things come to, and you just want to look into the future and see, sort of project what might be there, what might not be there. What kind of technologies that are going to come around. And I know we had mentioned that I was going to mention there's a program that's available for anybody who has Netflix. There's a really interesting show that talks about connections between things that's on Netflix called Connected. And the very first episode, I wouldn't watch it alone late at night. So if it's like about after 1 a.m. where you are right now, take heed. The first episode is called Surveillance, and it talks about part of what I'm talking about and what exists right now, because we're all being surveilled right now. There are cameras in place all over the place, also scanning the Facebook and Instagram and all that, and they're working to find out not only to recognize people, but to find out what their mood is, whether they're in some criminal database or any other databases, who their friends are. You can find all about you by connecting all these sources of information, and they can even, much more in the future, they can now track where you are, where you've been. They maybe know more about your health.
You turned me on to this episode or this program also recently when we were talking, and I watched that episode, and that one thing in talking about those birds that could predict hurricanes.
Yes,
seasons.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah, I would. So people who are interested, would you tell them what the name of that is called again?
Sure, absolutely, Scott. The name of the program, it's on Netflix. It's called Connected. And the first episode is called Surveillance, as in, we're watching you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching you, so Martin, tell me about what you've been up to. I know that you have people watching you on Friday nights. So tell me.
Yeah, sorry, Scott. Yeah, so we have Friday Night Magicians. It's a show that we do the last Friday of the month, and now it's been launched in Zoom. So we've got one obviously tomorrow because tomorrow is Friday, and I think you're going to put a link up in the comments bar so people can go and get tickets. It's £5 English. I have two sort of big acts and one act who's like an open mic act, so he does 10 minutes. And then, but tomorrow's show is going to be really good because we have an actual. He's not going to be here, but he sent me a video that I'm playing, and he's a shadow artist. Ooh. And it's really good. He lives in Spain now, and we have a lovely Joe Turner from America. Oh. So I have acts from all over the globe come and do the Zoom now.
And so I know that you have just some other guys that are coming on from week to week, and that you change that, and so that they are from all over the world. Are they just from the UK and America, or have you had some people from France and other in Italy?
No, I haven't had many French guys yet, but I'm working on some French guys because it's really hard to explain how it works. And stuff, and there's some guys who don't really want to go down that road of doing magic to a camera because you're not getting that audience partition back. So it's really difficult, especially in comedy. Myself, I find it very, very difficult because you say something in your head you think's funny, and then you don't hear any laughter. That doesn't give you any energy. So it really sucks all the energy out, but you just have to think in your mind that people are laughing. Hopefully they are, but you know.
Yeah. And so how many weeks have you been actually doing that?
Well, like I said, it runs the last Friday of every month, and this is our fourth one this Friday. So yeah, so you can get tickets from Eventbrite. And you get sent an email with a login, and you just log in, and off we go. It starts at 8 p.m. English time, which is about 2 o'clock in parts of the States, I know, and the shows runs till nearly 10 o'clock. So it's nearly a 2-hour show. We have a little bit of a break in the middle so people can get a drink and things like that. So,
well, there's a thought right there that we got somebody that. Patricia said that she can help you with getting Babel, perhaps.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
She's a French connection when it comes to magic. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know Babel very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's actually done the live show because we normally do it as a live show. So he was here 2 years ago, done the show. So, you know, we grab whoever we can.
Whoever's available. I'm sure. Well, Marc DeSouza is available over there, and you're going to be doing some upcoming lectures. Is that right? Some virtual lectures?
Yeah, I've done a few. I've done a couple for SAM. I've done some for some of the local IBM and SAM groups around the country, and now I'm doing for one in a magic club in Hull, England. That Eddie Dawes is the president of. I'm doing that in a couple of weeks, so I'm really looking forward to that. And every time I do one of these Zoom lectures or performances, I learn something new, and I'm always trying to upgrade the technology that I'm using. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a challenge. It is a challenge because you're not getting that those reactions that you're used to getting from an audience. With a lecture, it's a little easier, but it's still even tough then. But with the Zoom, at least people can ask questions, or if you've got somebody running the technology, they can, certainly ask you the questions out of the chat room. And it really depends on the group. And, I try to make certain that I'm not running the technology when I'm actually doing those events. Don't need to do more than just what I'm booked to do.
Well, I see right now, actually, that you are in your theater, and you've also got a deck of cards. You kind of got that set up, so you can switch back and forth and do a trick or something. Then right now, or
well, the setup that I have normally, I'm utilizing a program called OBS Project, which allows me to use a little device called Stream Deck, which is it's an electronic device that interfaces with my computer and runs the cameras and allows you to set up various, different scenes, they call it. So you can have one camera, although you can have a camera picture in picture. You can size those in advance, and so it gives you a lot of latitude as what you can do. So unfortunately, you're controlling this all now. John Pullum just put up, I'm doing some pickpocketing shows. That's something that occurred to me. The two worst possible entertainers to be now are pickpockets and hypnotists. They can't do Zoom shows. I'm convinced. But in the OBS you can have a variety of cameras. In my theater, this is a theater. It's a 32-seat theater, and we run lectures here. This is not a green screen behind me, and Floyd Thayer did not throw up on my stage here. Stuff out of my collection. But now I've turned the theater into a studio. So I've got, this is the main camera I'm using in front of me. I've got an overhead camera here that I can switch to broadcast the tabletop. And then I've got another camera just out there that is a full shot, so I can do stand-up work. So, in my lectures and in my performances, I'm doing stand-up magic and I'm doing close-up magic. And I'm able to run that all right off of, just this little 15 button.
Now, did you figure that out all on your own, or did you go to like a class to learn that, or just kind of feel it out and play with it? And are people giving you suggestions as to what technology to use?
Exactly. It's people giving me suggestions. I've been talking to everybody that's been doing this stuff. There's been a number of publications out there, manuscripts and books on the stuff. There's been people. Jamie Allen just did a great one for the Magic Circle a couple of weeks ago, and because of Jamie, I bought the camera that I'm using right now, and my gosh, what a great piece of technology that is, and it's so good. I just bought a second one today because wow. I just got spoiled by this thing. It's a Sony A6000, and it's an SLR, a digital SLR, single lens reflex, mirrorless single lens reflex camera that you patch into an HDMI interface that goes into your computer. So it converts the HDMI signal into a USB interface. So I just love it so much that I bought a second one, and I'm going to be using that for my long shot instead of the camera that I've been using. And
have you also been using Zoom instead of like what we're using right now is StreamYard? And I know there are other kinds of applications out there. What do you use and why do you use it?
Well, the Zoom is the platform that I've been using most because it allows the most flexibility for interfacing other people into it, and there's not a lot of limitation onto the number of people you can have. Mike Miller just posted the SAM lecture I did for the first lecture of the Friday night lecture series they did. We had over 2,000 people. So you're not limited. Now, if you have to buy a license for whatever size audience you're using, and for instance, we're doing the MAS convention coming up in a few weeks, and we just bought a license so we could have up to 1,000 people at that convention. But it's great because in that case, we're able to bring people in to act as virtual assistants for people who are performing. We've got a chat room just like you're using here, where people can ask questions real time. Whoever's monitoring that can ask the questions of the performers and the lecturers. And for ease of use, it was easy to get up and running. Now, I don't know everything about it. Believe me, if I had to run that thing myself, I'd be in trouble. But as I said, when I do lectures for other people, they're running the Zoom room. For the convention, the MAS convention, my friend Conrad Cologne is running all the tech from his place. And most of the guys I talk to, the performers, are really adamant about not running the technology during their lecture so they can focus on being present with the audience. It's tough enough.
Speaking of the MAS also, that you are going to be having like a one-day virtual convention. And can you tell me a little bit about how that's going to run, when it's going to be, and that kind of...
Yeah, the Magicians Alliance of Eastern States has been in the convention business for a long, long time. And we decided probably about 6 months ago, we had a meeting on this and decided if we weren't able to do it live, we wanted to try to do a virtual convention. So that's exactly what we're doing. So September 12th is the day. It's a Saturday. The convention will run from 11 in the morning till about 9 at night. There'll be a dinner break for about an hour in the middle, toward the evening. And it's free. It is free to everybody.
Oh, nice.
So all you have to do is go send an email to maesconvention@gmail.com, just as it appears on your screen there, and ask for registration. If you want information about the convention itself, we're releasing the names of the acts week by week before the convention. I can tell you right now, as of this week, the names that have been announced are Sarah Krasson, Dylan Dubois, who is a very young magician who knocked us out last year, and he will knock you out this year. Eric DeCamps, Jeremy Michelson, Danny Archer, David Corsaro, David Gerard, Jack Wu, and Boris Wild. So we will have magicians from several different countries performing. There will be a few more names released this coming Monday, and then the last names the week after. And there will be one name that will not be released. You have to attend to experience it. I'll just tell you that, but it is a big name.
Big name.
Big.
So Martin Cox is going to be showing up at your conventions. Okay, I don't want to spoil it. Sorry.
Of course.
We're going to book Martin for next year.
Don't let the cat out of the bag yet.
I want to also mention, while we're on virtual conventions, something that's going to be coming up then over Labor Day weekend. Typically, we have the Texas Association of Magicians Convention, which is over that Labor Day weekend, which is over September the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And we're going to be having it again this year. And same thing like with the MAAS, it's going to be totally free. And we're going to be having lectures, and we're going to be having performances and dealer demos and other kinds of things. And that you can get more information on that by just going over to the taom.org/2020. And I think that I've got that right over there. Yes. So if you will just go and check that out, and there's a registration form there as well. And it will include some lectures that you may otherwise have to pay for, not only attending the convention to see these kinds of lectures, but also there are people who are doing virtual lectures for us that you're going to get to see here for free. And so that's very cool. And it's going to be as if that you were there. We're going to be having a few of us who are going to be going to Trixie Bond's lake house. And so we're going to be having an order of Willard breakfast there, and that you get to experience that from the inside. Typically, that's for people like Order of Merlin with the IBM, in which that you have to have 25 years of consecutive membership within the organization to join and to attend the meeting. And we always have some outstanding speakers, and we're going to be having one this year then as well, plus some other things that are some surprises, and I think that you're going to enjoy as well. So if you'll just go over then to the taom.org/2020, and that you can get some information about that. So it sounds like that, and I know that sometimes the MAAS has had some overlap. I mean, you guys have had your convention at the same time. Whenever I performed over there for the MAAS and was emceeing the show one time, I had to forego going to the TAOM convention and ended up having to come. Is it getting a little bit dark over there for you, Alan? You have to put on your sunglasses?
Oh, these are actually three-dimensional capture lenses, so I can capturing three-dimensional video with a camera here and a camera here right now. And then I can later put special effects on them if I want.
Cool.
Are you serious as heck? I mean, really?
I am 100% serious. These are spectacles from the company Snap. I did some work with them recently. And so there's a camera here, and there's a camera here, and right now I'm just taking a snapshot, and right here I'm taking some video. So three-dimensional video and audio in little 10-second chunks. Yeah, and that's just what's available right now. Imagine forward a few years, and I'll bet you could be doing these kind of Zoom shows and all that, and actually have your audience look like they're an audience, even if they're in their own homes, all there and responding with the audio and video as if they're in the same room, in the same space.
So those are not available commercially yet at this point, I guess. Is that right?
No, these have been available since late last year, actually. These are about $300 or $400 US, and they're available in many countries throughout the world.
And where would they get those?
I believe it's snap.com/spectacles or just spectacles.com. You can get those. It's an interesting thing. It interfaces with Snapchat, so you can use it with that. And a shout out to Jun-Hyuk Kwan. Wow, nice.
Wow.
Yes. Mike Miller was also saying, as far as the MAAS, I know that he books talent for several conventions, and that he says you don't want to miss the MAAS convention. Was he helping you, I assume, then, Mark, again this year in booking this convention?
Mike and I talk very, very frequently. We were together yesterday over at Dick Gustafson's house for a little while. So yeah, we talk often. But you were saying about the overlap. Normally, we don't overlap with MAS. That was an odd situation. We are normally the weekend after Labor Day, and we do that very purposely so we don't clash with TAOM.
That's always a good thing that conventions don't overlap with each other. I know that's been an issue in the past with the Magic Live and with Abbott's Get Together, certainly. So
right.
They have, I don't know if they've really worked together or played together real well. So anyhow, hopefully in the future that's going to change. Speaking of conventions, does anyone have any ideas, thoughts, or anything as to what future conventions are going to be looking like? I mean, over in the UK, for an example, I mean, let's say Blackpool. I mean, I assume then right now that at Blackpool, then next year, I mean, typically they have like 3,000 people or something like that. And I can't imagine 3,000 people over there in the Winter Garden.
I dare say that they're going to go virtual. They've got to really, so the only act they're going to get is ventriloquists, and they with a mask.
I think it's going to be a long time before we're all together in a big space with lots of people. People like to imagine that it's going to be super soon. They just come out with a vaccine and boom, we're all together. But it doesn't work like that. How long does it take to vaccinate all these people? It's going to be a while.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while. I just saw something on Instagram that was from Murray Sawchuk, who was saying that if you are then right now in an airplane, you are sitting next to each other. So why shouldn't you, for hours at a time? So why shouldn't you be in a theater in Las Vegas? I could see the argument on that. I don't know that I would agree necessarily with all that, but just a thought as to what's going to be happening as far as the reopening of Las Vegas and trying to get those shows going and everything. Do you have any comment, Mark, as to what you think might be happening?
I've spoken to a couple of the acts that perform in Vegas, and there are no plans at this point. Now, somebody told me that David Copperfield, they were selling tickets for a few months out. But I know, I was on the phone with Piff 2 days ago, and there's no plans at this point to open that show. And so they're doing a lot of Zoom performing. In fact, they're doing one Saturday night, but you're talking about
Piff the Magic Dragon is doing Zoom performing.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're partnering with a variety of theaters around the country. So the theaters are selling the tickets to their mailing lists, essentially. And he does some promotion of it, but he's performing, for these theaters. Obviously, it's open to anybody because you can just buy a ticket and watch it on Zoom. So sure. He's doing one Saturday, so I'm anxious to see how that comes off. But we talked after he'd done his first two, and there's a big learning curve there because a lot of what the pundits are saying about how you should be doing these shows, making sure you're involving the people that are there, getting them very involved with the show. The feedback he was getting actually was the opposite. They wanted to see more of him and less of the people that were part of the audience. Huh. So, there's a big learning curve. Now, I was at a live show last weekend. My friend Al Belmont did a live show in Wildwood, New Jersey, which is a shore town, and they had found this park, and he has this magnificent trailer, and it's fully outfitted as a stage. I mean, he's got a computerized lighting system, and he carries a big illusion show. He's doing a lot of big stuff, And they basically pulled this into this lot, and they did a terrific show, an hour-long show. They had set up chairs in groups of 4 or 6 chairs, all socially distanced. And I think there were like 35 people in the audience last Saturday night for the show. They're not making a killing. But my gosh, live entertainment in this situation, very responsible, socially distanced, and it was a great show. So it was great for the people. It was great for Magic. But I don't know how many people have the wherewithal to be able to do a show like that. Vegas, that's a whole different story. I think the only way this is going to happen anywhere in the next 6 to 8 months is they're going to be able to sell, 30% of the theater and keep the people seated apart. And certainly the dynamics of the audience interaction, it's not going to be the same. Now, I will tell you, Smoke and Mirrors, which is the theater that Marty Martin and Danny Archer have just outside of Philadelphia, just started up live last week, and Mike Miller was the first act there. And they're trying something very different. They are having a live audience, but they're only having 25% capacity. The rest of it is being done on a video platform. It's on an online platform. They're not using Zoom. There is a dedicated platform that they're utilizing. So now you've got live people there. So you have the interaction and the energy of having people there right in front of you and working with you. They're having people come up. They're masked. They're still handling in a very socially distanced fashion, but you get the energy of a live audience there. And so now the people that are watching it on screen are getting that sense of the live performance. So I'll be real interested to see what happens over the next 3-4 weeks. They just started up last week, and hopefully, that'll be something that's a successful. Mike Miller, we had 15 on Saturday night. So that theater holds 60 people. So that's 25% capacity.
60
so that's very responsible.
We can get pretty big.
I think Alan has too many people in his room right now.
I was going to say Alan has way too many people over there. I think that is not socially distant over there. Then Alan, what you got? Holy cow! What are they?
Very crowded over here.
It's growing exponentially.
I love performing for a big audience. It's great. No, I did an in-person audience show fairly recently, but it was in a yard. It was all safe, socially distanced, sort of a street circus thing in Hollywood, and we were performing, and there were people outside the yard on the outside of a fence, and they were all socially distanced from each other, and a bunch of different acts, and it was so much fun. It's the first time I've been in person with a real live audience for quite a while, and it was a blast. And some people knew about it ahead of time, but most people were just walking down the street, and they were like, "Oh my God, live entertainment! This is incredible! I got to stop and see this." And we did like an hour and a half show. It was great.
Wow.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Speaking of something else that's going to be coming up very soon, I wanted to share something with you. If I can, let's see, share by screen. I'm going to show you something that's going to be a upcoming opportunity that will be with Simon Lovell. This is something that I've had a lot of people who have asked me over the last several years, actually, whether or not that I can get Simon back on the podcast, and it's been difficult at best. I had him on the phone a while back, but Lee Hathaway is going to be having something. If you would go to the website, that is, hold on a second, it's called givingmagic.co.uk. And if you do, you'll come up with this website. And Lee Hathaway is going to be hosting this live on Sunday the 6th, which is going to be at 2:30 in London or 9:30 Eastern time. And you can figure it out from there. And you'll just need to put in your first name, last name, your email address, and subscribe. And then they will send you information about this. And then you want to probably join the Giving Magic community on Instagram there as well. So I think it would be great to kind of hear what Simon's been up to and how he is doing and feeling. So I would suggest that we actually would be able to go back and hear what he has to say. So that's coming up soon. So go check that out too.
That sounds great. Simon's amazing.
Yeah.
That would be somebody to have on Magic and Martinis.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I think we all know Simon.
Yes, he has certainly shared a lot with many of us in the past, and so we all do love him and hope for his best possible recovery as far as it's going. Let's see. So we talked about the MEAS, the TAOM, and I want to mention, Simon, we talked about what's happening over as far as the hurricane goes. Any other news of imports that someone would like to share, or something that's happening in your lives then right now? What's happening, Martin, over in the UK right now? I mean, obviously it's almost 2:00 your time, but nothing happening right now.
Nothing's happening right now, but nothing really. I mean, I got a private booking for a 60th birthday party coming up, and that's in a big hotel, so that's going to be outside, but no work as such. So it is becoming a struggle. Luckily for me, my wife's working, and she works from home at the moment, and she's got a little office behind me, so that's quite nice, to have the wife here all the time.
Yeah, have the wife.
I'm too excited about it.
Kind of a long pause right there.
Yeah, it's really nice to have her here.
Have you been looking at any new collections or new items to add to your collection? I was going to say, by the way, I just Mark had purchased one of Carissa Hendricks' new posters, which was kind of cool. Which, by the way, that if you guys haven't watched, if you didn't watch the Academy of Magical Arts banquet that was streamed live and for free this last Sunday night, it is available if you go to magiccastle.com, and there'll be a link there that you can go to the video on Vimeo and see the banquet again. And Max Maven hosted, and there are several other people who are on, and it was just very well produced and very slick, as you would imagine a Hollywood production would be. And that was just amazing with a lot of people. Do you want to, anybody have any comments or congratulations you want to say to any of the winners over there?
Absolutely. That show was amazingly well put together. And I will tell you, I'll be very honest here. You
look like John Lovick there,
This is maybe not the John Lovick look. This is maybe closer to Carissa, but not exactly. I really wasn't personally that interested in some ways in the show. I've never been to the awards show, but I went and as stayed from home and watched the online show, and I thought it was fantastic. And I thought it was a really good example of how someone who has a really great presence and training and experience can reach through that screen and connect with people. And that is what Max had that, and a few of the other presenters had that, but I would say Max especially, and some of the other special guests you might not expect on the program. And I thought it was really well done, and I was hooked in the whole time. And I thought it was great. I would highly recommend it.
Well, Max has had a lot of experience, obviously, of working across the screen and working with his two-dimensional plane in the past. And so he certainly was the right person to host the evening. And so, again, I would certainly recommend that.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think it was a wonderful program. And I was just so pleased to see Carissa won. And my old buddy, Chris Capehart, Chris and I have known each other for, 45 years, and we both worked the streets in Philadelphia back in the 70s, and what a nice thing that Chris was finally recognized by the castle for the great work that he does. So I was pleased to see that.
I was glad also to see Lisa Mena having been recognized for the contributions that she has made, certainly to the Cause for Wonder, and she was the first one just right out of the chute that was given an award there. She was, of course, the feature on Genie magazine here in recent months, and of course, one of my guests I had on the podcast there as well. So, there were a lot of people, and Danny DeOrtiz of being a lecturer of the year. I've heard his lecture before, and I know that he is really great. But I wasn't at the castle and didn't get to hear his lecture, but I'm sure that it was good then as well. And I thought that Jonathan Levitt, who was in the credits for being one of the producers, I thought did kind of a cool job. It looked like he was kind of peeking out of the curtain. Hey, kind of walks out, and it was just, the whole thing was just so very well done.
I think this is also just a start of the hint of what's happening with women being able to be included in our world of magic, which we need a lot more of. But this program was great in a lot of ways, and some of that was very much intentional. And just seeing more people of more inclusion in the magic world was really great. A really great thing about this program.
Yep, Chris Capehart took the parlor. I think it was a parlor. Wasn't that where he won?
Yes.
Yes, he won Parlor Magic Award. Actually, my parents were in town, and my wife and we saw his show in the parlor last year. He's quite a performer.
I need to pop
Mixing it up there, Scott. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit low. So I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I need to drink up a little bit here.
This is more than I drink in a year usually already. So
this is more. Yeah, I can't agree with you on that. As for me. But anyhow, so other things that are coming up, other projects or things that you're working on, then what are you doing? Alan, let me go to you first. What are you working on coming up?
Well, I've been consulting with a few people about their shows and what they do and how they can present what they do online. And I have some more online offerings as far as what I do, what I present to audiences that may be doing some more online shows. But mostly working on this time to present, to better the things that I'm working on that for when people are in person. And I'm doing a lot of memory work, working on my memory techniques and especially memory palaces lately, and really loving it. It's improving everything else about my life as well. It's great.
Cool. Anything else? What are you doing, Martin? Aside from the Friday night things, tell me more about.
So I'm working and I'm helping a few magicians out with Zoom, because I've seen them do Zoom shows and there's things that are not quite right. So I've been helping them, talking to them about lighting, where their light's coming from, and things like that. So I've been helping out that way. And I bought a book on memory, and I've put it down somewhere, and I can't remember where I put
Not
it.
sure where it is. I think it's over here on my table.
This past week we had a meeting of our Zoom meeting for our local IBM ring meeting, and one of the things the main topic was, what is everybody doing during this pandemic? Basically, how have you been coping with it? What have you been doing? What have you been doing differently that you're preparing for when we come out of this? Or working on your website, have you, whatever it is that you've been doing, so I'm kind of, and it was very interesting to hear that different perspectives of what people have been preparing or what they have been doing. Mark, I know that in your profession of being a property developer that you're still busy all day long anyhow, but magic wise, so what have you been doing differently during this time when you can't perform?
I've been, like I said, working on the Zoom skills and doing some, Zoom shows occasionally and Zoom lectures and working with other people. I've been doing a lot of consulting with people on material they've been working on, but I've been working on new material too. One kind of dream thing that just kind of came to pass. I mentioned that I was with Mike Miller over at Dick Gustafson's the other day. Dick Gustafson, for those who don't know, had a wonderful act called Magic by Candlelight. They were on the Ed Sullivan Show. They performed a lot of conventions. They performed the world over. But also Dick did an illusion show. And he built all of his own illusions, and they're wonderful. He builds great props. And now at the age of 89, he's decided it's time to get rid of his illusions. So Mike Miller is helping him out, and they're disposing of the illusions. But there were a couple of other things, one of which in his early 80s, he decided he wanted to recreate Abe Duvall's Rhapsody in Silk Act. Now, if you've ever read the manuscript, this is not an easy act to do. It's very complex, and in your 80s, that's not the time to undertake that. And I've always had the thought of, boy, that would be a great act to do. And Dick decided to sell that act, and he sold it to me. So now
Wow.
my not so long-term project is to get that act up on its feet and actually perform it once we can perform live again. But it's actually a great Zoom act because there's no audience interaction. It's a music-based act and could be done, as long as you've got the space to do it. So that's a project for me to work on, along with a couple of other effects that I've been working on for the last 3 years anyway. So when we get out of this, I'll have some brand new magic.
I see that Alan has gone under the water.
Unless he's going to do aerial.
Well, I could use a few pellets.
We don't want to overfeed you.
Yeah, some of us are getting a little bit larger during these times. But, I've been exploring technology and what we can do with it, and doing some small things with my home tech. Making some plans for adding some more texture, I would say, than what I would normally do, because usually I'm super low tech, but obviously we have to use electronics to reach our audiences right now. Pellets?
Yep. No. Well, that's been great. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys very much, for joining us here this week and kind of helping to make this a little bit easier on us all. So this way that we've been having just a very enjoyable Magic and Martinis Thursday virtual happy hour. I want to encourage everybody to come back each week, and we're going to be having different guests from week to week. And it's been nice having my guests here this evening. Next week that I'm going to be featuring 3 other people that are going to be including some other magicians that you're going to enjoy, and you're going to see this in just a minute of who's going to be on. So I don't want to spoil that. Just stay tuned to the very end as we start to have our credits as we roll out of here. But aside from that, I want to remind everybody to go and check out the MAES convention over there that they're going to that Mark is putting on with the MAES, and again that they can go for information if they just go to at gmail.com. Is that right then, Mark?
That's the email address to register, but the website is maesconvention.com.
Okay, great. And also, just as a reminder that we're going to be having the Texas Association of Magicians, or the TAOM, is going to be coming up then too, which is going to be at the taom.org/2020, where you can get some more information as to people who are going to be on the bill, which, by the way, earlier that Mark shared some of the people who are the talent on their bill. On our bill this year, we're going to be having Rocco and Arian Black and Robert Baxt and Nick Lewin and Gregory Wilson and Jeffrey Allen and Gabe Fiore and some others. So I think that you will enjoy that convention then as well. And also going over there to mentalwires.com. Is that right?
That's me. You can always find me. We're all connected with Mental Wires.
Yes, we are.
Underwater over here.
And Martin, again, where are they going to find you for the Friday nights? Facebook?
You can find us on Facebook. If you put in MC's Friday Night Magicians, and there's go to events, and you can get a link there. We're on Eventbrite, so you can find us in Eventbrite as well. If you go to eventbrite.com, you can find us. If you just type in Friday Night Magicians, it should come up.
Sounds great. Thank you guys very much. Cheers to each of you for attending here this evening and for being our guests. I think that it's been wonderful. I think a lot of people have had some fun. They've seemed to have enjoyed the show. So thank everyone who has been attending and for your kind comments and compliments and everything then as well. So we hope to see everybody again next week, again with some other guests. And so I would say then for this week, let me see. This is going to be Scotty out. Thanks again, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.